Okay, we're up to chapter 9. Okay, so we said yesterday that Shaul was looking for the donkeys, right? Shaul was sent to look for his father Kish, his donkeys, and then he ends up going to Shemuel because they want to ask Shemuel where's the donkeys. They couldn't find it, so let's ask the prophet. So very interestingly, the Mefarshim are busy with this. They're saying, why do we get introduced to Shaul this way? The way that he meets Shemuel is because he's looking for some donkeys. It's pretty odd encounter. I'm looking for my donkeys. Happens to be I came to you, and then end up being that Shemuel says, this is the guy who Hashem said is going to be the king. So the Mefarshim tell us that during this time, Bnei Israel were very low spiritually. They just lost to Plishtim, and they lost their ark. They got it back, but they were lost. They didn't know what to do moving forward. I don't want this to happen. They don't want this to happen again. So then many people came to the conclusion we need to have a king. The reason why we're losing wars and the people are not strong is because we need somebody to unite everybody. We need somebody to rule us, the king. But and Shemuel, who knew that Shaul was going to be the king over the Jewish people, he had to inform Bnei Israel why they went through all this. So the lesson Shaul went through, a little experience of what the lesson Bnei Israel needed was what? If a Jew lost one animal, like a donkey, like a hen, right, and he kills himself, making an effort to go look for his lost object, how could it be that Aaron was gone so long, nobody went to go look for it? So that's why Hashem made it that Shaul met Shemuel while he was on his journey looking for his donkeys, a lost object. It should have been, we're looking for the lost ark. Why are you guys not looking for the lost ark? So therefore, they're telling him, you know why we're in this situation? Because we don't have a king. Your king himself that you're asking for, he's going to teach you a lesson. Look, he was looking for his donkey. How much more so we should have been looking for the Aaron? And we don't need to really wait for some king to put us together in order to make us realize what we need. We need to do it ourselves. But anyways, that's why Shaul went through that. So it comes out, all these wanderings, Shaul, not for no reason his donkey went missing. And not for no reason he bumped into Shemuel. So you see that sometimes we make a wrong turn. Sometimes our flight gets delayed. Sometimes we don't know why we end up where we end up. And it's all for a reason. Only afterwards we'll see Hashem's teaching us a lesson. But the question is, why is Shaul first the king? We know David is going to be the next king. Why go through Shaul? Go straight to David HaMelech. Why are we starting with Shaul? So really, the Meiri says, David was not ready yet. Shaul was chosen because he was actually more humble than David. He was actually on a higher level. But once he made mistakes, and then it was time for David. So really, Shaul was a greater person than David in a way. But the problem was, he didn't follow through. He got to the mountain, top of the mountain. You have not just to get to the top of the mountain, you have to stay on top of the mountain. Consistency. Not to let it get to your head, not to, lose yourself over a situation that happens when you get at the top. A lot of people can get to the top. The question is, can you stay there? So Shaul, he got to the top, but he didn't stay there. He fell, and that's why, actually, David HaMelech was only afterwards, because Shaul was, the Gemara says in Yuma, Shaul was like a 1-year-old, untainted by sin, when he became king. But in the end, we know that he got to a point where he wanted to kill David HaMelech. He was chasing him left and right to go and murder him. So look how a person can fall completely to the point where he doesn't do any sin, to the point where he's willing to do murder. So a person has to be careful to not get comfortable and fall. We know that Yochanan Kohen Gadol, he was 80 years going into the Beit HaMikdash, going into the Kodesh Kodashim, and afterwards he became a heretic. So you never know what can happen. Okay, fine. So then, so let's finish the chapter. So Shaul goes to Shemuel. They meet each other, and Hashem tells Shemuel, "This is the guy. This is the man that's going to be the king." So Shemuel took Shaul, brought him to the chamber. He gave him a place at the head of the invited guests. There were 30 men there. They're going to do a korban, right? Shemuel said to the cook, "Bring the portion which I gave you, which I told you, keep it with yourself." So he lifted up at the shuk of Aliyah, he took the thigh piece and brought it to Shemuel. He brought it before Shaul. He honored Shaul with a nice piece of the portion of the korban. And he said, Sim lefanecha echol, ki lamoed shamur lecha. He says, put it before yourself, eat. This was reserved for you when I told the cook about the people I was inviting. And Shaul ate with Shemuel that day. So it's interesting. Before Shmuel saw Shaul, he's already telling him this is a piece I set aside for you. Meaning, in a way, I knew you were coming. Hashem told me there's somebody I have to meet and I have to speak to. So therefore, that's why he set aside for him. Now, it says on that day, Shemuel met Shaul for the first time, and he prepared to anoint him. He invited Shaul to sit at the head of the banquet, and instructed the cook to serve Shaul the portion that was set aside. According to one opinion, it means the thigh and the fatty tail that rests upon the thigh bone. The tail is considered the choicest part of the sheep. That's the nice tail piece over there he gave him. So now the parak 10, chapter 10 over here, which we're starting, V'yikach Shemuel tapach hashemen. Shemuel took the flask of oil, poured it on Shaul's head, and he kissed him. And he said that indeed Hashem has anointed you over the ruler. So what happened? So they went on a rooftop afterwards, and early next morning, he called him to the roof, and he says, let me go send you off after this wonderful meal we had, but now I'll tell you a word of Hashem. He told him prophecy, and he said that Hashem decided that you're going to be the king of Israel. He says, when you leave me today, you're going to meet two men near Kever Rachel, Kivurat Rachel, Begvul Binyamin, and they're going to tell you where your donkeys are. They're going to tell you where you're going to find them. And he says, this is your father's word. Where was my son this whole time? So you go and you tell them that you met three people. One of them was carrying 3 goats. One of them is carrying 3 loaves of bread. And one is them carrying a nevel yain, a container of wine. They will give it to you. You'll arrive at the Har Hashem, where the Plishtim are commissioned over there. And you're going to encounter a band of prophets. They're going to have a bunch of instruments. They're going to be prophesying. And then he says, "Ve'etzalecha alecha ruach Adonai, ve'nabeta imam ve'nehepachta leish acher." He tells them, you're going to go and meet these prophets. You're going to hear this music. You know, when you hear music, you get this like a sense of euphoria, the sense of like enlightenment. And he says that's going to make you have the spirit of Hashem. You're going to have prophecy, and you're going to transform into a different person. And when these signs happen to you, you should know, be ready, that what? That you're going to become the king of Am Yisrael. And you will go to Gilgal ahead of me. I'll meet you over there. You're going to give korbanot over there. You wait for 7 days until I come to you and I'll inform you what to do. So in that day, he had a different heart that day. He was turning into a different person. He didn't know what he was getting into. But he's guiding him and telling him that these are the signs that are going to happen to show you that Hashem is with us. You know, the prophets used to give signs. That's why the Torah says you have to be careful of a false prophet. False prophets, they also could give signs, and it might look like they know what they're talking about. But a person has to be careful who he goes to. These seers that we have today are not the prophets like we used to be, but the prophets in those times, when they said these signs will come true, they came true, and he realized that something's happening to him. So he arrives over there at the hill, and there he sees the band of prophets that are waiting for him, and he feels the ruach of Hashem on him, and he goes and he has a prophecy. What is this prophecy? He prophesizes and he says, what is this that happened to the son of Kish? Shaul's a prophet now? All these prophets, they see Shaul, they're like, whoa, he's prophesying, he's with us. A man spoke up from there and he says, who's your father? And he said, is Shaul amongst the prophets? And they stopped prophesying. What are they asking? So the Gemara says, in the Sifri actually, it says that Moshe asked Hashem to appoint the leader over the Jewish people to be his successor, right? It says that it should be a man over the assembly. Meaning, that over there, but our pasuk says the Shaul's friends and family discovered he was a prophet. They were surprised. Over here, it wasn't like he was a famous prophet. All of a sudden, he became a prophet, right? And they said, why they ask him who's his father? He says, when Shaul's friends and family discovered he was a prophet, they were surprised. They said, your father's not a prophet, your grandfather's not a prophet. What made you get to this level? So this lesson is teaching that greatness is not inherited. We cannot belittle someone who comes from a certain family. The Gemara says opposite. People who come from Bnei Aniyim, people who are coming from poor homes, you should be mizdaer. You have to be careful with them. Why? Because from them come a lot of times great people, immigrants who come to this country. They have nothing to lose and everything to gain, and they push themselves as hard as they can. They become doctors, they become lawyers, they become great people, politicians, and and you hear their stories. And their stories. I was living off a generator in some third world country. I came to this country and I pushed myself very hard. I told I have to make a name for myself. If I didn't make it, my whole family wouldn't make it. So therefore, they had to put a lot of pressure on themselves. So you see, people who have it good, they lose their grit, they lose their ability to push through and persevere. People who come from very humble beginnings, a lot of times they're willing to put the hard work in. So Shaul was this type of person, and a person has to know, look, let's say a convert, right? The Gemara says, you're not going to say, oh, convert, look who's coming to learn. The guy who ate non-kosher food, now he's going to eat kosher food. Oh, you go to the guy, you tell him that he's religious now. Oh, I remember you used to come and do averot with us. Now all of a sudden you're a super religious guy. No, you can't mizalzel anybody. It's always able to be gained, and you cannot say, it runs in the family, that's it. No, it doesn't run in the family, it doesn't matter. So over here, we're going to finish this next time. But over here, what happens is, Shaul's uncle said to him, where did you go? He said, I went to go look for the donkeys. I went to Shemuel. He says, tell me what Shemuel told you. He says, he told me where to find my donkeys, and he told me where to meet him. He didn't tell anybody about the kingship part. And then Shemuel gathers all the people at Mitzpah, and he's going to announce to the whole world now how Shaul is the king. Baruch Le'olam. Amen.